Check it. This is the story of my life. Just wanna share with y'all everything I went through up until the point to where I am right now. Thank God for that. I just wanna show you my life's parable. Check it. In the beginning, I was living in the Garden of Eden, but 9 months later, got kicked out and started breathing. The 3rd of April, 1982 AD. Entered a world full of sin as a crybaby. Thought I could make it on my own, but my choice wasn't stable. 2 voices spoke. One said I can't, the other said I'm able. But I told myself I can't, so I depended on others. Thank God he gave me a loving and nurturing mother. Mom said I used to cry but flood till I almost drowned, but her arms were the ark that kept me calm and sound. My father took a big chance stepping out in faith, going from refugee camps into the United States. It was me, mama, dad, and my older sister. Made a year later, had a baby sis despite my parents' ages. Wichita, Kansas was the town that we would settle in, but this was just the beginning of my life's testament. Parable, sometimes great, sometimes terrible, but God won't leave your side when it's unbearable. We got an old story from birth to burial, so here's my life on stereo. Life's one big parable, sometimes great, sometimes terrible, but God won't leave your side when it's unbearable. We got an old story from birth to burial, so here's my life on stereo. Life's one. And here we are, my dad soft-spoken, always on the humble, reunited with his brother. I'm learning to call uncle. Talks they had about God didn't go so high. He rather give up his blessing to try to win the poker pot. One night while he played poker at a friend's house, an armed robber took my uncle's life, then they spared out. The tragedy caused a family bond to wither. We parted like Red Seas but went south of the Red River. We ended up in Fort Worth, Texas. If this was a promised land, milk and honey was breakfast. See, there's 12 grades of school split up like 12 tribes. I had to go through each one to prove that I could survive. Found strength like Samson, wisdom just like Solomon. Classes were like Goliath, and I'd overcome all of them. Pride kicked in while I was doing my thing, when Babylon came through and made a dangerous change. Parable, sometimes great, sometimes terrible, but God won't leave your side when it's unbearable. We got an old story from birth to burial, so here's my life on stereo. Life's one big parable, sometimes great, sometimes terrible, but God won't leave your side when it's unbearable. We got an old story from birth to burial, so here's my life on stereo. Life's one. It wasn't long before I started falling weak. The peer pressure, skipping classes, grades dropping, drinking, smoking, whatever. Coming to church hungover was the usual scene. Besides, I thought sitting in church was just a weekly routine. Didn't help having a job that made me feel like Job, when negativity and disregard is all they would show. Stress was like a big well that would swallow me whole, and I was thrown into a furnace with nowhere to go. See, God was fed up with the old me, he wanted to change it. Brought some people in my life who totally rearranged it, till I finally found Jesus and broke into tears, crying in broken joy which I ain't felt in so many years. Had to drop that old job in my past, just like a bad habit. Whatever God placed in my path, now I'm going at it. Everybody has a revelation, but I'ma grind for the Lord till I reach my final destination. Parable, sometimes great, sometimes terrible, but God won't leave your side when it's unbearable. We got an old story from birth to burial, so here's my life on stereo. Life's one big parable, sometimes great, sometimes terrible, but God won't leave your side when it's unbearable. We got an old story from birth to burial, so here's my life on stereo. Yo, let me tell you something. No matter who you are, where you're going or where you're coming from, know that you got a story to tell. You are a living testimony, and there's always a lesson to learn from it. The question is though, will your story have a blessed or a cursed outcome? Honestly, the choice is yours. Life's one big parable, sometimes great, sometimes terrible, but God won't leave your side when it's unbearable. We got an old story from birth to burial, so here's my life on stereo. Life's one big parable, sometimes great, sometimes terrible, but God won't leave your side when it's unbearable. We got an old story from birth to burial, so here's my life on stereo. Life's one big parable.